Is now a good time to buy an investment property here in Calgary? Not exactly. Is now a good time to be a renter here in Calgary? Not exactly. This video is geared towards you renters as well as you investors out there looking to get more information about what's going on with investments here in Calgary. My name's Fyfe, your Calgary real estate agent. If you're looking at getting into the market on the investment side of things, go ahead and reach out after you've talked to your mortgage professional and got some of your numbers. This video is for educational purposes only. I'm not a property manager, I'm not a mortgage broker, but I do use some averages here throughout the video. Now, this video is the first video where I actually talk about Airbnb revenues, so make sure to stick to the end. Now, October 2023, rentals.ca has reported that the asking rents in Canada continued to hit new heights in September, increasing by 1.5% from August and 11.1% from last year to reach an average of $2,149 per month. Now, it's across the whole country, all product types. With the year-over-year growth rising back into double digits, the annual rate of rent inflation accelerated to a 9-month high. Now, when you scroll down this here, you can see that Calgary is slowly inching its way up to be within the top 20 most expensive cities in all of Canada for rents. So, let's go check it out. Now, these videos tend to be a little bit long, so please make sure to look at the chapters along the bottom. Now, this is an average price point for the entire country. You can see how much we've increased from March of 2021 when we hit our low of low $1,700, and we're continuing to increase. Now, when we start to break it down into the provincial side of things, you can see that Alberta average is $1,663. Average. You can see the studios, the 1 beds, the 2 beds, the 3 beds, and then the year-over-year changes. Alberta as well as Nova Scotia have seen the biggest year-over-year increases compared to other places. BC and Quebec are closely following us as well. Now, when we start to break it down into the municipal side of things, you can see that Calgary is ranked number 10. The average for all property types in Calgary is just under $2,100, and you can go and you can actually look over here and you can see that the increase is about 14%. Not the biggest increase across the whole country. You can see that Brampton, Mississauga, Halifax, Laval, and Regina have all seen similar increases from last year as well. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here, but when you start to break it down into the actual property type of Calgary, rentfaster.ca provides this really nice breakdown of what's going on. Now, you can see the studios, 1 bed, 2 bed, 3 bed, and the red arrows up means that it's increased, and the green arrows down means that it's decreased. So this is benefiting the renter. Now, we are going to utilize this data in our spreadsheets in future slides. Now, just a quick overview, you can see that the average rent by listing type, you can see the quadrants here. So the 1 beds, the 2 beds, the 3 beds in various quadrants. So if you are considering a move to Calgary or you're looking to make a move, you can kind of come up with a game plan based off of this statistic here. Now, these are furnished. Now, you can see the 1 bed, 2 bed, 3 bed, no data for the city center and northeast, unfortunately. And this is just a general overview. Don't take this for exact face value, but you can get a general concept. Now, the thing that I do want to touch on here is the price points across Calgary are all very different. So this is the total residential price point as the average for the entire city. Then you got your detached, your semi-detached, your townhouse, and your apartments. There are so many different variables to put into consideration when looking at these things. And I really want to make sure that you have a very clear understanding of that. When you start to break down that total residential price point, so the entire city's average, and then you start to break it down into the quadrant, you can see that the pricing of houses varies greatly. You can see that the Northeast is 482 total residential, where if you look at Calgary West, it's 685. All of those attributes are going to be very different as well. So please keep that in consideration when we're looking at the average numbers on the spreadsheets moving forward. I'm trying to go through this quickly because last time the videos are quite long. Now, I really want to point this out. I'm not a mortgage professional. You need to consult with your mortgage professional before a realtor. A realtor will show you good product and good information, but if you're not ready financially, don't even bother. Don't get excited. Don't try to build your foundation too much because you could be hurting yourself in the end by missing out on opportunities. If you don't know your numbers, don't reach out. That's pretty much that. In order to get the most of this content, you need a free approval first. Then you can book a call to kind of share your situation as well as your expectations. Now, I use free online mortgage tools, calculators to obtain very vague costs regarding mortgages. Again, these are very average numbers. These are not in detail by any means. Lots of variables. Every single situation is very different. There's no one size fits all. I cannot stress that enough. Investing takes time and patience, a lot of education. These numbers are only averages that I've gathered from the internet. This content is educational purposes only. As you can see, I'm repeating myself a lot here because I want you to realize that this is not going to replace an actual consultation with a professional. There are millions of different variables to consider. These are just averages, and that's all they are. Every single property, community, and every single situation will have different outcomes. This is not meant to replace seeking professional advice, okay? Educational purposes only. So when we get into this, so as you can see, I've changed up my spreadsheet here a little bit. This is the detached with legal suites. Again, this is just a Calgary massive average. If you look back here on the top left-hand corner, there was only 8 sales in the past 30 days in the entire city. That means that if you are looking for something in this realm, it is going to be very hard to find something, right? 8 sales means that it's very competitive, right? So you can see I found a couple properties around $575,000. So your down payment of 20% is $115,000. Your total mortgage, your interest rate, which is an uninsured interest rate, it's actually increased from last month, which is pretty common. The payment factor, this is kind of an interesting one that I've learned from Joel Richards, the Richards Mortgage Group. The payment factor is $642 for every $100,000. Now you think that's just more of like an average per se. Every situation's different. You got your mortgage term of 5 years, your amortization of 25 years. I can't say that properly. Current rents. Okay, so the current rents for 2 up and 2 down. You got $1,960 up, and then 2-bedroom down to $1,700. Now that's actually decreased combined from last month. These rents are from rentfaster.ca. They cover the whole city. Every quadrant is going to be slightly different. This is why the averages are very important to not put as a final number. You really need to put these things into your own personal plan. So your rental income per month is about $36.97. Your total mortgage is about $29.54. You've got your property taxes, no condo fees, a property management fee if you're going to pay for that, home insurance, as well as utilities. Now the utilities should be paid for by the tenant. Now if you have different strategies, you want to go all-inclusive, then you can go that route as well. So when it comes to the total income per year, you're looking at about $44,300. You've got your total expenses of about $44,900. That means that your total cash flow for this average is a loss of $545 per year, or a loss of $45 per month. Not the greatest average to find, but again, this is reality. This is something that we need to consider when you're looking at properties. Again, averages. Feel free to pause the video and give the bottom right here a read, but let's continue on. Now, next on the list is the semi-detached with legal basement suites. Okay, in the past 30 days, for this exact criteria, there was only 2 sales in the entire city. Okay, keep that in consideration when you're looking for these awesome opportunities. The home prices that I saw were around $518. The down payment was $103 with a total mortgage of $414 at 20% down, and then everything else is the same. You can see that the current rents are actually the exact same, from detached properties, 2 up, 2 down, changes throughout the entire city. The total rent is $36.97. The mortgage principal versus interest and the total mortgage is $2,600. Taxes, condo fees, property management fees, home insurance, all equaling to a total income per year of $44,336 with a total expenses of $40,851. That means that in this exact scenario, if someone were to purchase this, they could be cash flow positive, $3,500 a year, or $292 a month, with a cap rate not including the mortgage of 6.84%. This right here is a good opportunity. This is exactly the stuff that I would be personally looking for to find. Now, when you're waiting for these opportunities, you could be waiting 2, 3, 4 weeks, if not months, to find these opportunities. Investing into real estate is not done overnight. It is building your foundation and waiting for those right opportunities to pop up. You can see in this average here, in this scenario here, there was 2 sales in the last month. Could you imagine how competitive those 2 sales probably were? There was probably a lot of multiple offers on those 2 things. Now let's move on to Row. So Row is a little bit interesting. It actually increased from last month. Last month I had a little bit of a worse number, but you can see this out of the 17 sales that happened in the last 30 days, I saw an average price point about $463. Down payment, total mortgage, you can see that a 3-bedroom townhouse was average rent about $27.58. So you take your mortgage averages, your property tax, condo fees, your property management fees, all that jazz, for a total income of about $33,100 for a total expense of $40,800. So the cash flow on this average is looking like it's going to lose you $7,700 a year. Horrible investment, right? Or a cash loss of $641 per month. Again, Average, average, average. There are townhouses in Calgary that work. I have actually helped some clients actually find properties this year that worked. This is just an average. So you can see that the averages are not that great. You're losing quite a bit of money. Now, here is a 2-bedroom condo downtown Calgary. You can see that the average price point is $285,000. You can see your down payment, your total mortgage, everything else is the same. The 2-bed downtown rents is about $23.62 per month. That was actually a decrease from last month as well. The average actually fell. So you got your income and all of your expenses. Your total income is about $28,344, and your total expenses was about $30,921. So in this average scenario, you're going to be losing $2,500 a year or $214 a month. Horrible investment. Why would anyone do that? Again, there are many properties downtown Calgary that do work, but when you're looking at the average numbers across the entire city, they don't exactly work right now. Keep that in the back of your mind when you are looking to get into the investment market. So let's switch gears here. Let's start looking at Airbnbs. Now, this information is brand new to me. I have recently partnered with Your Key Rental Management, a short-term property manager here in Calgary, Alberta, who is doing a lot of things differently. They've done very, very well, and they're giving me this opportunity to educate you on what's going on in the Airbnb market. So if you have more questions, please feel free to click the link in the description to their website and reach out to them for more information. Just let them know that you got from my channel. Now, this is the Calgary market overview. This is an overview compared to the entire North American audience. So all the major cities in the United States is kind of where they're getting these averages from. So when you see some lower numbers, just remember that you're comparing to LA, Vancouver, Florida, Texas, like all of these major market centers. So on the left-hand side, how is the market performing? 68%. It's pretty good, right? The overall market score for Calgary is not bad. When you start to break it down, you can see that rental demand is 91%. Means that there's a lot of demand for short-term rentals here in Calgary. We have a lot of tourism, and I think that is a very clear indicator that an investment property in the Airbnb space could make sense. The revenue growth is only 49%. Again, when you're comparing to a lot of other market centers in North America, this could be due to the amount of supply coming onto the market. There's a lot of people buying properties for the Airbnb market and putting it on the market, kind of driving some of that revenue growth down. Seasonality is 31%. The lower the number, not so great. Calgary has very long, cold winters, and that really does shift the market. In the summer, we have some really high returns. In the winter, we have some pretty low returns. Regulation is a little bit of an interesting one. So it's at 38%. The lower the score, the less attractive Calgary is compared to the other market centers across North America. The next slide here, we're going to talk a little bit about regulations, but I do also need to learn more about that before I can explain that in more detail. Moving along, annual revenues, you can see it's $39,000, 6% up from last year. Now, this is actually quite low. Again, we're averaging the entire Calgary market. This video here is going to be more or less in alignment with Your Key Property Management because this average here is quite low. A lot of people are not using professional management and they're not optimizing their property to the best of their abilities. So the average gross rents, and including all property types like shared accommodation, recreational use, inner city use, stuff like that. When you compare it to Your Key's portfolio, Your Key is actually seeing a higher annual revenue. When we look at the occupancy rate, 65% is also very low. When you look at Your Key's entire portfolio, they have 82% compared to the market average in Calgary of 65%, right? Many people are not doing it professionally, like I mentioned, having company optimize it to the best of their abilities, maximizing their chances to increase their occupancy. Average daily rates is $164. And again, Your Key from their portfolio, I will get them to hopefully share with this a little bit better next month, is averaging about $182 for their daily rate across their entire portfolio. There's a lot of things to put in consideration there, right? Like the features of the home, the furniture, the optimization, as well as the guest experience. The guest experience is directly related to the amount of reviews you get that helps you boost your daily rate. So making sure that you have a good guest experience is what Your Key is doing very well at. Now the RevPAR, this was completely new for me. If you're into the hospitality space, you have this a little bit, have a better understanding of this. I'm not going to touch on this too much, but the daily rate is when it's actually rented out, and then the revenue, what is that, per available night, is basically taking all of the available nights, removing the occupancy days that it wasn't actually being listed, and putting that as a price point. Don't really like that stat, to be honest with you, but basically it showcases that out of the $164 per daily rate, and then you remove all of the occupancy rates for all of the available days, average, you can see it's $113.9 per day. Interesting stuff. So what this is going to look like here in this spreadsheet is very different from the long-term rents, and you can see that from what I've found in the market, you could buy a unit for around $393,000. Okay, it's a 2-bed condo, downtown Calgary. The down payment is about $78,000. Plus, you need to spend about $15,000 to buy the furniture. So you need to buy everything included, like your utilities, your towels, your bed sheets, your bed, everything included in that. The interest rates are staying the same. Now, current rents in Calgary, downtown, this is from Your Keys portfolio. So the average revenue seeing right now at a daily rate of $182 per day at an occupancy rate of 82% is around $4,500 per month. Total revenue. So when you see the total revenue here and then you put it against your mortgage, right? You've got a mortgage of around $2,400. Then you've got your property taxes. Then you have your condo fees. Then you have your property management fees. And then you've got your home insurance as well as your utilities. Okay? Now, there's a lot of things to consider here. There's a lot of expenses every single month that you need to purchase, or sorry, you need to look after when actually going into the Airbnb space. So for this average here, you can see that the total income per year is about $54,600. The total expenses is about $51,657. The cash flow after expenses is about $2,900, or your monthly cash flow is about $245. So there's a lot of questions that a lot of people are going to have when it comes to the Airbnb space. Please remember that there's a lot of different variables in this space, and it is a fairly new space that a lot of people can come in and do things completely different. You can see that the property management fee is a little bit higher than average, but you would hope that you get a lot more value from that. As an example, Your Key replaces a lot of your small utilities, like your towels, like your toilet paper, all of that jazz. And there's a lot of things to consider in this space. And again, this is the first time that I'm explaining this, so please cut me some slack. There is still good opportunities in the Airbnb space. I do watch it. I've actually watched it for a long time before recording this video. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and ask. Or if you are an investor who has a property in Calgary, feel free to reach out to Your Key Rental Management. Links in the description, and also ask. Okay, that was a lot, and that was quite a bit to unpack. I really hope this video wasn't that long, and I feel like it's probably gonna be 20 minutes. But that's an average for you, and this is my first month saying all of these things. So what I could say, semi-detached with legal suites and Airbnbs right now, on average, make the most sense compared to other property types. So give me your feedback. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, you want to see something spoke about differently, please let me know. This is the first time I've done this. I'm going to get a lot better in the coming months as I continue to do this for you every single month. Thank you very much. This was a long video. I hate long videos, but here it is. I look forward to the next one. Thank you. Peace.